I think that's another great thing about the testimonial video and how versatile it is it can serve in different stages of the buyer's journey. So having a shorter version, or what we call cut down, that's 30 seconds, could be an awareness piece. And then you've got that longer piece that is more about the decision making and getting more in depth in the story in a compelling way. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Unlocked, a podcast about growing your business through the power of video. I'm Dan West, owner and creative director at Blue Key Media, and I'm joined again today by Tori Thompson, our cinematographer and editor at Blue Key. And we're continuing our 5-part series on the 5 videos that every manufacturing and industrial company could be using to stand out from the competition and better communicate their message.
Yes. And today we are doing the humble testimonial video.
The humble testimonial video. Yeah.
Yes.
And what is the testimonial video?
It's the classic getting a customer who's been satisfied with the work you've provided, the job you've done for them, and having them sit down and honestly say what a pleasure you were to work with, what a great job you did. It's I think probably one of the most used kind, but it's still very effective and really helps to make a people trust you quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the testimonial video is all about credibility, trust, and getting people over that hesitation of moving forward because they aren't sure if they're going to be satisfied or, they don't want to make a bad decision.
It's one of the videos that I think has been around for a really long time that only continues to get more popular and stay effective and stay relevant because it's the Yelp, right? It's people looking at Google reviews for every restaurant. It's people putting quotes on their website from satisfied customers, right? Like it's being used now more than ever. And so that's why the testimonial video remains like such a powerhouse in really any industry, but especially when it comes to like the niche industrial and manufacturing companies that we've worked with.
Yeah. And if you think about your own buying habits, well, at least I'll speak for myself. Anytime I'm going to buy something, I research very in depth. I know not everyone
obsessively,
does. Yes. But I'm constantly looking for reviews, whether it's written reviews, whether it's YouTube videos. I especially go to YouTube because I just like video and I like to see it actually, the product I'm buying or, someone raving about a service. And I do that for everything. And I won't buy something or I'll be extremely hesitant to buy something if I can't get some sort of the review or someone giving a good recommendation.
Yeah, seeing it and like having a tactile visual with it, I think helps, like seeing the product or seeing the service or whatever while hearing what it was like to actually work with that company or use that product, right?
Yeah, and it's different too, like hearing from a satisfied customer than the company, right? Because the company's always going to say good things. And so when you hear it from a customer, you're like, oh, okay, this is an outside source that is affirming the brand, that is, talking about their experience. And there's studies out there I know from written reviews where people will trust a written review equally as if they had spoken to somebody in person about it.
Oh, interesting.
Like I don't know the exact studies, but there are studies out there that will that show written reviews are just as effective as if someone was talking to someone in person, or can build that much credibility. So if you think about a testimonial video where you can hear them, you can see the emotion, you are able to build a connection because you're able to visualize it and there's story to be told in video. I mean, that's powerful.
Yeah.
It's a home run video, if you ask me.
So what do you think are the best like do's and don'ts in a testimonial video? I mean, like, do you think it's better to have just one customer and keep it really, really short on theirs? Do you think it's like you want to try and fit 5 customers in there all saying it? Like, what do you feel makes for the most effective kind of testimonial?
Personally, I think the most effective video is one that has a more focused message, and that comes down. I think it's easier to have a more focused message when you have one person, right? You're telling one person's story.
Yeah.
Now, there's definitely ways that you can tell multiple people's stories, but you'd still want to center it around a common theme or attribute or whatever that message is. If it were me and I had 3 customers, I would do an individual story on each person and talk about how it impacted them, because you're able to dive deeper into their story and create an emotional connection, or create that bond between the viewer and the person that is being interviewed that you just can't when you've got 3 people. Because everyone's going to have a different story, and the video would just be so long.
And time is eaten up by just people introducing what their name is and stuff like that. Like, that's going to eat up like 10 seconds.
And their situation, right?
Right. Like, you have to set up the story and everything for the payoff. So if you're going to, I think if you were planning on getting multiple customers, like you said, break it out into multiple videos. And if you wanted to do an edit where they're all together and that is a longer one, there's a conversation to be had there. But I think, if you're using it as just outright marketing you're going to be pushing to people, then breaking it out into like individual videos is a really good idea for that. Yeah.
Another do is try and capture as much visuals around that customer's experience, whether it's their operation and being able to see either the service that the company sells or the product that they sell in the hands of that customer as they're talking about it, right? You're interviewing the customer, they're telling their story, and then we want to be able to see what they're saying. We want to, whether it's interacting with somebody from the company or using the software or using the product or seeing the piece of equipment in their manufacturing facility,
letting them like visually placing it in the real world as an actual service or product that they could get their hands on. Because it's the same reason you were saying that you like watching stuff on YouTube before you buy something, right? It's like you want to see it. You want to get that tactile.
I mean, that's the power of video.
I mean, it is. That's
if you're gonna create a testimonial video and you just sit them down in front of a white wall and record them and that's it, then like don't hire a company like us or somebody else to fit. Like, just grab your iPhone, film it. Great, whatever. There's a time and place for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it certainly can be effective. And for those who don't have the budget for higher quality video, go that route because it's better than nothing. But the power of video is being able to visually see the things that are being spoken about. It's bringing it to life. It's crafting it in an emotional way.
It's not just information delivery. It's an emotional push that is what you can get. And that comes from, a lot from seeing it and hearing it. Like, all of that's going to come together. So like, if you do just want to get information across, there is definitely a time and a place to just pull your phone out and start talking. Like, that is a very authentic way to do it. But if you're ready to like really tell that story, like let's get out in the field with your workers. Let's see your products and get them in the hands of people and film that, because that's going to go a lot further with a potential customer than just having someone talk.
Yeah. And, when we say emotional connection, it might be easy for some people to think like, oh, sappy, sad, or like all of these, I don't know, like maybe your product doesn't evoke things like that, but it can be more of a relief. It can be empowering. It can be freeing. It can be easy, like those types of emotions too.
It can take like a burden. The emotion could be, well, that I don't have to worry about a mechanical contractor anymore because I can always trust company X.
Yeah, right. Or oh my God, my last experience was so stressful. Working with, our past provider, it was, I felt confused, whatever. And then working with, company ABC was so easy. That was, stress free. I didn't have to worry about a single thing. It was really a simple process.
Yeah.
If you think about Visa, they do banking, right? Or credit cards. And anytime you see a success story, a testimonial commercial about a customer, it's like a restaurant owner and they are smiling and thriving business. And it's showing a business being able to thrive.
Yeah.
And that is the emotional connection, right? There's freedom, there's growth, whatever.
Yeah.
So even in the manufacturing and industrial space, emotion and tapping into emotion is so important.
Because it's very human, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what industry it's in. Making an emotional appeal is going to always be attractive because that's just how we are. So yeah, no matter what, even if it's not someone crying oh my God, I was just so thankful that I found a CNC machinist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's emotion to be found there, and it's, you probably don't have to dig too far.
Yeah, 100%. What are some other do's and don'ts of testimonial videos?
I think authenticity is a big part of that. If you're making a video that's to prove that you're trustworthy and, you're doing something I don't know, hiring an actor, you're not using a real customer or something like that, people are going to see through that immediately.
Yeah. Or trying to really script that interview process can also feeding the customer lines and putting words in their mouth. Unless they're extremely skilled, which most people that aren't actors are not extremely skilled in the form of acting and being on camera. It just comes off so inauthentic. People want to hear the true words and feelings and thoughts of the person that they're watching, not the talking points that the marketing person wants them to hit.
Yeah, we're all intimately aware how real conversations happen.
Yeah.
And we can tell when something's not real. Even if you're watching TV, you're like, that was a cool line, but that's not how people talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just know how that is. So don't try and force the words into a non-actor's mouth, because that's going to, it could potentially make them get really nervous to have the cameras on them. It could make them feel like they're not doing a good job telling their story. It's just letting them go and tell their story is usually the best route. And and then letting the edit do the work to get that message distilled enough.
Yeah. Another do or tip of testimonial videos is, I think, having the production team that you're using conduct the interview. Because that way it comes off as a conversation of a happy customer telling somebody else about the great experience they had with, the company that they worked with, right? Versus talking with, the sales rep that they worked with or whoever.
Or an executive at the company where it's tell you loved us, right?
Yeah. There's some sort of a pressure that comes along with it. And also interviewing is definitely a skill.
For sure.
Most people probably aren't as good at interviewing for video in terms of making sure they're saying the right things or getting the right things out of them and doing it in a way that still feels natural and authentic.
Yeah.
And that's where a skilled video team like Blue Key or whoever you use can be a big asset in that interview process to draw out, like you said, the authenticity.
Yeah. You might be asking, if the company does it, they might be asking the right question, but they don't know how to get the response where it's teed up just right so we know that our editors can get in there and make it sound this way or whatever. So I think that's a good point is having someone who knows how to interview for camera.
Yeah. Another thing to talk about is, where do you distribute your testimonial video? And through this series, we've talked a little bit about the sales funnel and, the idea of awareness, consideration, decision. And if service offering product video was more in that consideration stage, overview video was in the awareness stage, testimonial is definitely in the decision-making phase. Yeah. It's about closing the deal. It's about,
Yeah.
getting them to, put that final bit of trust in you
Yeah.
after they've identified the service offering is right, the company is right. Now, are they the right fit for me? And should I part with my money with them? So where's the best place to distribute a testimonial video?
I think that depending on the kind of company you are, testimonials can be good for places like social media and stuff like that, and your website. Where do you think the best places are?
Personally, so website is an obvious place.
Yep.
But also it can be used more tactfully in the marketing process or sales process of, some companies might have emails that they follow up with to help close the deal. And so I think it's a really great way to use the testimonial video is in specific emails after an initial conversation or when you know that they are close to that buying phase.
Good point.
So highly targeted there.
Yep.
You could use it in advertising too if you know exactly those attributes or maybe like retargeting or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think between those direct approaches where you're like emailing them or somehow sending it to them when you know they are further along in your buying process, just on your website.
Yeah.
Sometimes people go through all three stages without having reached out to you. Like they go through the awareness, consideration, and decision making before they even contact you. I think, what was it? I was trying to think of this statistic I saw somewhere, but something about like 70% of the buying process is done before the first point of contact in terms of the research that the buyer does and all of that stuff. So the more you can have out there and provide for them, the better.
Right. Them define that, I guess, quote unquote, do the research on their own before they reach out to you.
Yeah. That's how I do it. I pretty much research everything up until I need to have a conversation with someone.
Yeah, that's how I do it too.
Yeah. So how long should these videos be? I mean, are these 10-minute biographies on people, or is it 30-second? I mean, what's the ideal length?
We like to go like 45 minutes to an hour probably on these ones, just like make it a whole feature. Like, no, I think like most videos in like the current times, shorter is better. But like you've said, at this point, people likely know your brand a little bit. They know a little bit about you. They might be more open to, staying a little bit past a minute, maybe to 2 minutes, because they're kind of deciding at that point, is this what I want to spend my money on?
More invested.
Right. So I think that you have a little bit of range to, push it depending on where the story is. If the story is there, right? If it's worth telling and it's worth going that long or that in depth, then I think you have some room to play.
Yeah, that's a great point about it being further along in the buying process. And so you can push it a little bit more. It doesn't have to be 60 seconds snappy because they do know you.
But I mean, there's always something to be said. And, maybe this is just a cut down version. Maybe you get a secondary version that is a little bit shorter so that when people are doing the research on your website or checking out your YouTube channel or going on your Facebook page or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And they see that video and they're maybe not as invested yet. They're kind of seeing, what's out there and they see that testimonial. That might be like, oh, wow, that sounded really good. I want to look further into them. So I think there's definitely room to have a cut down as well.
Definitely. And I think that's another great thing about the testimonial video and how versatile it is it can serve in different stages of the buyer's journey. So like you said, having a shorter version or what we call cut down, that's 30 seconds could be an awareness piece and it could be more focused on just like tapping into a specific pain point or problem that if the right person sees it, they're like, oh, like I should look into this company, right? It's that awareness. And then you've got that longer piece that is more about the decision-making and getting more in depth in the story and how, this company served the customer in a compelling way. So yeah, great point about length and varying it and depending on where you're using it and how you're using it.
Because I think there's room for a lot of the videos that we're going to be talking about. There's room that it could be used here or it could be used there, and they're both very strategic, but you're going to want to approach them slightly differently.
Yeah. And that's where thinking through things
Yep.
in the pre-production, having a strategy, having a roadmap that outlines here's how the videos work in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Bringing on your video team with you. I think that's just a theme with like any video you're ever going to do, right? Just let's get in contact. Let's talk about how you want to use it, where you're going to put it, what it's trying to, like, what hole is it trying to fill? Yeah.
And if your video team isn't viewed as a partner in that strategy component, I definitely consider doing that. And then also question if your partner isn't, or video company isn't asking those questions or thinking through that strategy component, and they're just saying yes to everything and just kind of creating the video how they're told to. Maybe you need to look into a new partner, because ultimately there could be holes in someone's plan. If you're not doing video all the time, there are things that are often overlooked. So
Yeah. I mean, obviously we want to make the video that like you want as a company, but we also want to make a video that's effective. And if that is a delineation from what you maybe originally thought of, or the roadmap that you handed us, it's not, I mean, it's ultimately to make the most effective possible product, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's testimonial video.
Yeah.
Third episode in. The next two, we're talking more internally about recruiting videos and internal videos, like onboarding videos and things of that sort.
Yeah.
So
Safety and quality.
So stay tuned for those following episodes. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, questions that you are hoping to hear on the next episode, reach out to us at hello@bluekeymedia.com, or you can visit us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook at Blue Key Media. But otherwise, we're looking forward to having you on the next episode.